Hello and welcome to the Monday night community race for Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. We've got an exciting race coming at you tonight. My name is Rex Rule. I'm here with Jory Snaff. Jory, how are you tonight?
I am well. I hope everyone out there is doing well as well.
That's a lot of wells, but I think we are. We've got four featured runners tonight. We have Neon Gray, Flurry 14, Zyrak, and Chokosura. We got some great runners here tonight doing some very popular flags. These are the League Forge flags. So if you remember the Highway to the Zima Zone League from last year, these are some very similar flag sets that we're going to see. There's been some changes to the randomizer between now and then, but this is about as close as they get.
And
So, go ahead, Jory.
I was thinking, the Highway to the Zima Zone was when I first started following Free Enterprise and, did a little playing in it myself. So I really find this flag set in particular really exciting and the most involved, really different from the Apple Seeds and the Giant Percent Seeds that we've seen recently.
Yeah, this is going to be the featured. Speaking of the Giant and Appleseed, those are the last couple of qualifiers for the World Series, the last 2 weekends. This is what the flag set's going to be for this weekend's qualifiers for the World Series. So this is like a preview of what you're going to see this weekend. So really exciting in that regards as well. The main thing is this should be a much longer race than the other two, with that V1 where you have to actually forge the crystal. And it looks like we're off with an Edward start, so everybody's favorite Spoony Bard is getting in the mix right away.
He's got a little muscle there with him with Sid, so it can't be too bad, but...
Ooh, and we get the hook as the first key item. I know that I'm hoping for a hook seed. I'm always hoping for a hook seed, hoping that we don't find the magma key for the very easy access to the underworld, but instead with the hook you have to go through all of the upper tower of battle and 2 tough bosses in order to make underground access. But Sid is a very nice character at the very early part of the game. He comes at a pretty high level, pretty good physical attack right away. Usually a pretty good character that people like to see right at the beginning.
With a hook start and an Edward start, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some of these runners decide to tackle ordeals or something like that. Some of the wild plays.
Yeah, we could see a lot of variants of what's going on. We are seeing a lot of looting of Baron, pretty common in these T3 sort of settings where there's going to be pretty good equipment around. We see Rydia as the character in the Baron Inn, him behind a moon boss, and then the second boss we're not sure where it is. Not sure if how much priority the runners are going to be putting on getting Rydia as a character, but we'll see.
An early Bahamut or something like that could really incentivize that, but who knows what it's going to hold.
Yeah, absolutely. Rydia can be a very strong character in the early part of the game with access to summons. Even the Hobbs flag, which is on this flag set, gives Rydia access to a summon earlier by just going to Mount Hobbs and talking to the ice that's there. And so that can make her pretty useful early in the game. But it's kind of a crapshoot because you might end up just getting like a bomb summon or something like that, and it's not all that good in that case.
Right. Looks like there was a crystal armor hiding around there in Baron. That should be pretty good funding for the runner's early game here.
Absolutely, and we also see some life potions for sale in the Baron Inn shop, or not Baron Inn shop, but Baron shop. So that's an item that people like to find. I mean, first of all, it's just nice to have a way of reviving dead characters. That's obviously good. But the only glitch that we have active in this flag set is the life glitch. Very common way to get double experience when you're killing an enemy.
And I am a fan of the life glitch. That is... especially on a hook seed, if you're diving down. Looks like there are sirens for sale in Kaipo.
Yeah, that's Kaipo. That's right. Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those sirens can be very useful, depending on. I mean, their usefulness is kind of depends on how this seed goes. If they end up needing to beat a bunch of moon bosses in order to find the forge pieces for the crystal, they might not need to summon a bunch of random enemies to get an experience. But if they do, it's very nice to have them.
And it looks like we also had a Kane sleeping there in Kaipo, so made his appearance. The question is, will the Sand Ruby show up?
Right, and at the point where they find the Sand Ruby, is it going to be worth it to hike back to Kaipo to get that character? It looks like Neon Gray is going to be fighting Odin at the top of Mount Hobbs to get a character, and it looks like that's going to be Palom.
Good old Quack Kid.
Yeah, a pretty useful character. Kind of makes Rydia a little bit less... there's less incentive to have Rydia if you're going to have a page like that party.
Absolutely. And Zyrek looks like the first one going to dive the Antlion Cave for us.
Yeah, the Antlion Cave, very common early play of these, especially of these T3, T4 flags where there's really good treasure available. There's a lot of chests in the Antlion Cave and a pretty easy boss. Oh, Neon Gray defeating Odin. Palom with 1 HP left. Very close fight.
He is already showing his worth. That Lit 1 and Odin had no chance.
Yeah, also rewarded finding a Zeus Gauntlet. Very good piece of equipment for physical characters. Gives a big buff to the strength in that arms slot in the armor. It's something that you'd like to find for all of your frontline fighters.
I think Sid will really appreciate that, and that's kind of a bold play. A lot of runners don't check the treasure there on Mount Hobbs, but I think that'll pay off really well for Neon.
Yeah, they had found some exits prior and was able to get out of there pretty quickly using that exit item, which mimics the exit spell. And so that was probably a determining factor in whether or not they're going over that west side of Mount Hobbs.
Absolutely. Found the Octomammoth at the Antlion spot, so...
Yeah, it looks like Zyrek was able to find a bow and arrow for Edward to make him a bit more reasonable in combat than just playing notes of his harp at him.
And a Baron Key is his reward.
Yeah, Baron Key, access to a couple of bosses and a couple of key item locations, since with the K flags that we have on today, the KQ is going to be the quest for the summon monsters, and the Baron Key will open up the Odin locations. So that's a pretty high level spot. Might not be seeing that super early, but it will be available.
Flurry and Chakosura have decided to pick up their Quack Kid as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, like, when they realize Odin is a very beatable boss at this location, and getting a character that's useful throughout most of the game like Palom is going to be a pretty high incentive to beat that.
Absolutely. And it looks like Flurry picked up a Dancing Dagger somewhere, which kind of makes Edward even more useful for the early game.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the vanilla speedrun, a lot of it is predicated on giving Edward or Rydia a Dancing Dagger early and let them do tons of damage by using it as an item in the battle. Very good for the early game of free Enterprise as well. And now we're seeing some of the other races that we've seen before. Just want to make sure everybody knows that we are... our restreamer tonight is Smaped, and our tracker is Tarasu. So make sure that you give those two hardworking folk a follow tonight as well.
We wouldn't be able to have these events without, you know, a great restreamer and a tracker behind the scenes to keep up with running in 4 different directions at once. So
yeah, I miss so much stuff. I lean on the trackers so often. So now Zyrek is now heading over to the castle of Fabul, going to get another opportunity for a key item, and going to be equipping the bow and arrow to Sid. Now, one thing that this is going to do is activate I said that there's only one glitch, but there's really this is another thing that's kind of a glitch, but not on our flag set. It's called the back row glitch, which means that Sid will be able to do the same damage from the back row, even with his regular hammer.
It's absolutely helpful, especially early on if you get a hard-hitting boss, but you're able to... The back row, that can make the difference sometimes.
Yeah, it's also useful against bosses like the CPU or the Magus Sisters, where you don't want to... Because the back row means you can also fight the enemies in the back row with the same amount of damage. So if you're not wanting to fight the first line of monster, then that'll help there too.
Seems the King and Queen of Eblan have come on their diplomatic trip to Fabul.
Yeah, I don't know how much diplomacy is involved when they throw you down to, but what works for them, I guess.
And it looks like Zyrek's opting to do a kill on these bosses instead of waiting for their script to run out. Several of the bosses in Free Enterprise, on this flag set, there are a few free bosses, and this would be considered one of the free bosses.
Yeah, that's a determination that the runners have to make. Is it going to be like how much resources is it going to take? Like in something like this, you're using arrows. Are you going to actually buy arrows? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to run out of arrows? Probably not, but it is a consideration. But if you're able to mow them down faster than the script would do normally, then that's a choice that you have to save some time.
Always worth it to save a few seconds. And it looks like they got rewarded with a life staff, so that'll be helpful if White Mage will make their presence known.
Yeah, that's the best staff in the game as far as the white magic powers goes, which I believe is the will stat, if I recall correctly.
I will defer to your expertise.
Yeah, I believe it's wisdom for black magic and white magic, because it's the opposite of Dungeons and Dragons, where wisdom is the cleric's thing.
Very good frame of reference. I should be able to remember it from there.
And we see people selling a lot of... This is the other thing about putting a lot of chests in Antlion early. You've got a lot of things to sell so that you can buy a lot of good stuff.
And the time that some of the runners end up spending in menuing is sometimes considered the real final boss.
Yeah, menuing and knowing when you can stop opening chests is a real balancing act, especially for these seeds where you're potentially gonna have to fight a lot of bosses, like final game bosses on the moon and things like that. Those are not going to be necessarily easy fights, but being able to take him out with as little resources as possible is something that's going to be that the runners have to keep in mind.
And it looks like Zyrek has found coffins in Toroya at the the vanilla pass shop. Coffins should be really helpful if they make it underground and could maybe do a little bit of an egg grind before they jump into some of the harder fights down there. But if this is a true hook seed, they might be strong enough once they get to the underground to tackle some of those bosses down there.
That's a definite possibility. It's also handy to have even a couple of coffins. It looks like Zyrek bought about 3 of them, because there are a few bosses that are susceptible to the fatal spell, and if you use the coffin item on them, you could just one-shot some of the bosses with that, so that could be useful.
And it looks like Neon is showing us what it's like to go ahead and wait for that script to go ahead and run for the King and Queen Eblan. They have become conscious and are going to disappear.
And Zyrek finding that first boss in the Baron in the Ogopogo, sometimes referred to as the Dope Rope. And then looks like it's going to be the Elements fight in the second fight. So that could be a tough fight. because it's going to use some physical attacks, and that has a relatively strong physical attack point for this part of the game.
Wow, what a play by Zyrak right there. A big bomb followed by a hit from the Rune Axe. Bats and the elements have fallen.
Yeah, that was well played. Gets an Earth Crystal and Rydia in the party.
The Earth Crystal would be an interesting play right here. I know I've ignored it in the past, and it's caused me to come in last place in a community race before, but, you know, there's 2 characters up there, 2 boss spots, so going with a Earth Crystal, I think that's a interesting play to see.
Yeah, another thing to note is it also opens up the big treasure underneath Troya if people are looking to get more equipment for their party. But we do see... Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, we do see Zyrak has Baron Key at least to open up the weapon and armor shop and getting a couple of treasures in there. We'll see, and it does look like Zyrak is going for the Baron Castle play.
I do not blame him one bit. That is a good play, and it opens up another character as well. So
yeah, it's kind of it's a very similar play to the Tower of Zot play, where you get character access, key item access, couple bosses. Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit lower level than the Zot play, but pretty similar all around.
I think the hesitancy in doing the Zot play usually is about the boss in the Magus Sister slot, because, you know, 9,000 hit points is approximately what they have there, and that can be a lot for a low-level party.
Absolutely, but with Sid and Palom being able to do some of the heavy lifting, they should be able to dish out damage relatively well. But it's whether or not you can keep somebody like Palom alive.
Right. And Neon is going to climb the infamous Mount Ordeals for us.
Oh yeah, gotta love the Mount Ordeals play. Now, you know, you don't get a character and there's 3 bosses, so it's a little bit rougher in that regard. But this is the gamble. Like, when you've got a lot of people racing, like I think we've over 20 people racing tonight, if I recall correctly, making a gamble is always going to be like, we've got a bunch of different directions our players can go right now. You could dive the hook right now. We've got the Baron play, we've got Ordeals, we've got Zot. There's lots of different directions people can go. One of them is going to be the right play, and the others are just going to be possible wastes of time. Well, I guess there could be multiple correct ways, because we do need to forge the crystals. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Neon has run into Ashura at the first, well, I guess the Mylon spot.
Yeah, meanwhile, Zyrak's fighting the Dark Imps in the Baigan spot, and that's one of those bosses that are susceptible to the coffins.
And it looks like he might have some hourglasses as well, which probably froze them in place.
Yeah, the Dark Imps are susceptible to almost everything. It's like Chokasura is also making that same play that Zyrak is making through the Baron Castle.
And Neon has cut right through Ashura.
Yeah, well played. That Ashura battle can be tough if you don't know how to handle it. And Neon Gray seemed to have gotten through there with ease.
All right. It's kind of interesting to watch the runners run through each other's footsteps and that's in the early part of the game.
And here we've got in the Mylon Z spot the Magus Sisters, and that Delta attack is dealing quite a bit of damage to Edward there. So we'll see if Neon's going to be able to handle this well.
Looks like Flurry has taken advantage of the Hobbs flag and acquired the Sylph Summon on the front side of Ground Hobbs there.
Ooh, what a... I'm a huge fan of spamming Sylph whenever possible. It's one of my favorite summons throughout the game, especially since as long as you've got the 25 MP needed to cast it, it's actually free. It does not reduce your MP levels. Neon Gray taking a strategy that I've actually started in Mega Sisters fight, and that's taking out Mindy, because Mindy is the one that actually casts the damaging spells. The trick is, afterwards, you need to make sure that you get rid of Cindy before he reses Mindy.
And there's the resurrection right there.
Yeah, it's tough to get that down in time, but Mindy's usually the most dangerous of the Mega Sisters, and Cindy is the one that is the linchpin of getting the battle completed.
Right. You know, the bulk of the hit points of the group, so...
You know, it looks like Neon Gray used a Bacchus wine on Edward with a Mute Dagger, and the Mute Dagger does extra, I think 4 times damage to the Mega Sisters, so...
Wow, excellent finish there.
Meanwhile, Zyrax taking on the Baron Guards in the Kainazo spot. Another one of the fights that's where they're susceptible to the hourglasses or the coffins. Plenty of ways to be able to get them defeated easily. If this is a good key item that they end up getting, or a good character, then this is a really well worth it play, because those are not difficult bosses through the Baron route.
And it is the resident Dragoon, Kane, that joins Zyrak there.
Yeah, that'll be nice to have another character who's not as squishy as Edward or Rydia. Or Hal.
And a ribbon is Neon's reward for clearing ordeals, not the advantage I think she was looking for, or not the advantage. I don't think that's what they were looking for, but a ribbon is still a good find.
Yeah, it's a good piece of equipment, but yeah, when you make the gamble to mount ordeals, especially when you don't have like Tella or Cecil in your party at that point, then it's really disappointing not to get something really good. Happy the Bunny asking, is this the World Series of Free Enterprise 40% flags? And yes, it is. We see Flurry is trying to make use of life glitch on these dark elves, killing off an elf and using a life potion on fallen corpse of the imp to get double the experience for each one that they can use the life potion with that way. Looks like only be able to get 1 out of the 3, but still, getting an extra chunk of XP is always useful, especially this.
It looks like chat is filling us in here. The pan was the reward for clearing Baron Castle there, so that will allow our... Go ahead.
And now we see Zyrak taking another one of the benefits of doing the Baron play is raiding all the treasure underneath Baron Castle, which can be very nice. We'll see if he decides to take a peek and see who that Odin boss.
A cursed ring there at the top of the right tower in Baron. That's fine for the Z fight at the end.
Yeah, it's a very interesting item. Like, giving a negative boost to all your stats doesn't seem like it's a very good idea. However, if you want to make Zeramis slower, sometimes it's important to make your agility lower, so it can be useful in that fight for sure.
Ironic twist to many RPGs, lowering your own stats to lower the enemy's stats.
Yeah, so if you want to know details about that, I definitely recommend checking out the Discord, where there's lots of people who are very knowledgeable. I can give you lots of information about agility anchoring.
And for anybody thinking about getting involved, doing some free enterprise, the Discord full of wonderful people, always willing to help and answer questions. And
Zyrak did decide to take a gander and does find Kane Azo in the Odin spot. That's going to be a very difficult fight for this low level. We'll see how he handles it. I mean, I think it might be technically possible, but I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that's cool attack power. That's a lot of hit points for the wave attack if he manages to get his wave attack. Earlier when we saw Ogopogo, the Nope Rope, he uses the big wave attack, which for each big wave will reduce your hit points by 25%. But Kanatsu's wave is based on his hit points, and that could be a very different fight. And there's the reset.
Yeah, that is quite a difficulty. You see Zyrak not coming back yet. Does not want to try that one.
I do not blame Zyrak one bit for that move. It looks like Shakasura is now making his way up ordeals, and Neon is diving their way into Baron. So, once again.
And it looks like Flurry is heading up towards Toria, which means that I think we're going to see a Zot play as well.
Chakosura manages to get through Asura, no problems. I think our runners are starting to get to that level where the overworld probably won't present any more problems, with the possible reality that this is a hook seed and they will have to dive Upper Babel to get to the underworld.
Yeah, there's only a couple places left. We haven't seen the Tower of Zot yet. And we haven't seen the Odin spot be beaten. I don't know if people are going to be trying that one, but we haven't seen that one beaten. And then we haven't seen people go hunting for a demist in like the vanilla spot or the Octomam spot. But
absolutely,
it looks like we have Zyrak heading towards Eblin, so it looks like we're going to have the first dive into Eblin Cave.
All right, and there Flurry goes into Troya Castle. Treasury loot. Nope. It's going straight into Zot.
Yeah, I wonder if Flurry figures he's got decent enough equipment for his characters right now. Doesn't really need anything else. And then he's opening up chests in Zot, so... but he might be looking for that flame dog chest, because the trap chests generally pull from a higher item quality than irregulars.
That's also true. Especially in a potential hook seed like this, those first few trap chests could give you that item that gives you the edge and puts you past the Rubicante spot, going through Upper Babel with just enough ease to give you an edge.
Yeah, well, and maybe going through the Tower of Zot will give you a little edge, so we'll see. And so Flurry is now at the last save point before the Mega Sister's location. but we'll see what boss is in that spot because we know that the Mega Sisters were Mount Ordeals, so it's going to be somebody else here. And this could be, as you mentioned, this is a big, a high HP spot. So let's see. It looks like it's Leviathan.
Ooh. I like to refer to Leviathan as Nope Rope Jr.
This is a, in some respects, a pretty simple battle script. It uses the big wave, and then it casts Ice 2 spells at you. The big wave, as you mentioned before, is a percentage of your maximum HP. So that's going to be the same no matter where you find Leviathan. But that Ice 2 spell is going to vary depending on how powerful the magic is at the spot that you find.
Am I mistaken? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I was about to comment on that.
Yeah, Zyrak might be sad that he didn't complete Mount Ordeals and he finds Cecil in Evelyn Cave.
Pain Man himself has joined the team. But he doesn't take him.
No, without completing Mount Ordeals, I can't blame him for just ditching Cecil.
The very last chest down in Evelyn Cave happens to be the Staleman chest, so...
Yeah, those men were probably in that chest for years getting stale like that.
It's actually an interesting play to look for that Staleman chest with a low-level group. They come out swinging, and if, you know, they knock down who's queued up an hourglass, it could really be a fight for low-level players.
Flurry was able to take out a Leviathan, so now we'll be able to... We get a couple pieces of information pretty quickly on Flurry's screen here. We're going to see who one of the characters is. Then we're going to see, and we're also going to see who the boss, who will be the second boss in the Dwarf Castle will be, in the Golbez spot. And then we'll get who the next character is. So we have Rosa and the Antlion.
That bodes well for an early dive into Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, that Antlion at the Golbez spot, not a scary boss for that spot. That is for sure. Rosa is a very useful character too. I would imagine that the runners will take advantage of her. Tella, on the other hand, I'm not sure.
Depending on the Ordeals play. If Ordeals, yes. Tella, yes.
Yeah, I don't even know about that. Tella's stats are so low, I don't know how I like it.
Yeah. Flurry agrees.
If this was giant percent, then I'd say, yeah, I'd want Tella. But in Forge, no. You see Zyra continuing through the upper Babel and getting the 4 Mad Ogres chest. This is a very good source of experience at this point in the game. You can light glitch 3 of them. Sid with that rune axe, tons of damage. And so they're not very difficult. They can be hourglass as well. Get lots of experience. It's just a very good fight overall to get your levels before the tough bosses at the end of the tower.
And in the Valvalus spot at the top of Zot, we have Dark Knight Cecil, the also known as Pain Man.
Yeah, because all he does is dish out pain. But if you can take 3 of his hits, then you're good.
There it is, the speech. Justice is not the only right in this world.
And this is where you see having Sid in the party really helps because he can take a lot of damage. And
Absolutely.
So, having Sid, an early Sid, makes a fight like Dark Knight Cecil there a lot easier to deal with than potentially not having Sid. It's like Chokosura made the same choice of saying yes to Rosa, no to Tala.
The elven bow, the ribbon, and wizard robes. That's a great start for Rosa.
We have a blue robe in the King Queen spot, and it's just a water hat.
3 hits and Water Hag is out, regardless of how many hit points Water Hag may have in that spot. At least on this flag set.
Yeah, and I believe we saw the other one is going to be either Z or my Ghasts. And I don't think either of them are particularly difficult for a party of this kind of composition to deal with.
Certainly not as bad as finding, say, Kanatsu or, Antlion in the Rubicante spot. Those can be very challenging.
Yeah, I think like Kanatsu, Valvis, Ashura, some of those, if you don't have the right tools, can be very difficult.
Looks like Flurry is holding out hope that maybe this isn't a hook seed after all, and is going ahead and checking ordeals now.
Yeah, I think a lot of runners, and me included, will just try anywhere out of desperation. Like, I don't want to go through all that.
Absolutely.
So, you go through all of this instead.
Looks like our runners got a tower key from clearing ordeals, so have to get to the underground.
Tower key for clearing Zot.
Yes, Zot.
Or deals you got the ribbon.
I'm sorry, I got that backwards. I meant to say Zot.
That's okay. Just wanted to make sure that we get it right.
Right.
Chokosur is going to take a peek and see his butt. Is going to see that it's Kinazo will see if he even wants to enter the fight.
Immediately nopes out of that.
Yeah, that is Kinazo in tough spots is one of the more difficult bosses. Like, especially a spot that has just all that HP there and speed. Like, that's a nasty combination.
Absolutely.
And we'll see how long people, depending on how difficult it's going to be to find our pieces of Go mode, or especially the Alleged Sword of Adam, how long people are going to put off going back to that Keinatsu spot. For all we know, it could be required.
Very well could be. If the runners are confident enough to take on, the Land of the Summoned Monsters bosses, that's usually an indication that you might be ready for a tough boss in the Odin spot, but once again, different factors, so.
Yeah, and we've seen a number of our free bosses. We've seen the Water, we've seen the Dark Imps, we've seen the Baron Guards. These are the ones, we've seen the King and Queen of Evelyn. These are the ones that you hope to find in spots like the Fame Arch bosses, so that you can get through them without having to think about them too much, but nope. But it does look like Zyrak is able to take down Mylon Z and is the first of our featured runners who gets Underworld access.
Thinking about the recent, World Series of Free Enterprise matches and qualifiers, we've seen Apple Seeds and Giant Percents finish in roughly 20 minutes, and we're already at twice that and just now getting underground, so
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very different piece of the we've seen the first couple weeks. Inveterable asking, did anyone ever check the spot? We've seen people check it, but then either get wiped or reset as quickly as possible. Kainazzo in the Odin spot, very difficult at this point.
Kakasura is now following in Zyrak's footsteps there, going on underground, making a play for...
Chokosura is going to have a much more interesting choice. Eblin Cave, because he's actually completed Mount Ordeals, and so when he gets the choice of getting Cecil, he'll be able to get a Paladin at this point. Now, there's still good reasons both to take him and not to take him. We'll see what he decides to choose here.
And if I remember correctly, I do believe that they picked up an Ice Brand in Cave Eblin just now, so that's a decent sword for Paladin Cecil.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's like Excalibur or Crystal Sword, where it's like auto, like, I've got this awesome weapon, I just want to have it, no matter
Absolutely.
what. But we'll see what the decision is here for Cho. And it does look like he's getting rid of Sid to Cecil instead.
Interesting play.
So yeah, that's this is the sort of things doing other prereq work in the overworld gives you different options than you had. Like Zyrak, it's almost like an easy, like, no, I'm not taking Cecil. What are you kidding me? And with Choco, it's like, yeah, I'll take a level 1 character here. He does still have that Mad Ogre chest to get tons of experience for Cecil, and so he's going to be still buff as hell for the Mylon Z fight coming up.
Absolutely. Zyrak is baking some omelets for us. Usually nice to get a little bit of a level buffer once you hit the underground to clear some of the tougher boss spots like the Feymart bosses.
Yeah, and he just let Rydia learn Virus with that, which is a big kind of stepping stone to her usefulness.
May not be Bahamut, but it's still a good damage dealer.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember. I don't believe Zyrak got that Sylph summon. I think maybe I forget which of our runners did, but we know that they could get Sylph from going to Mount Hobbs, but whether or not they did, like,
I'm not sure either.
I think only one of our runners did, and I forget which one. And Flurry's about to have that same decision about whether or not to keep Cecil. And we'll see if makes the same decision of ditching Sid, like Choco did, ditching somebody else, or what the decision's going to be.
I think that Ordeals play really makes decision easier, at least it would for me. But you know, with Zyrak having not done it, I do not blame him for leaving Dark Knight Cecil alone there in Cave Eblin. But we've been raided by Natara, so thank you, Natara. Welcome over.
Oh, wow, there's a couple things that I want to check. Okay, so the package is what Zyrak finds Feymart's chest. And yeah, different decision here looks like Flurry is making, and ditching Rydia for Cecil. So yeah, different strategy by Zyrak, Flurry, and Choco.
if I recall correctly, that means with the adamant and the legend make the crystal in Forge percent, and
the adamant and the legend make Excalibur
in
vanilla.
vanilla.
Yeah.
Right. And so in Forge percent, we need those to create the crystal instead, which, if I recall correctly, that means Excalibur is added to of potential items to get from key item spots.
Well, that would be I think that's a possibility because there's more key item spots than there are key items. But we also have PK, so that means the pass is going to take a key item spot as well.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
So, but it's definitely in the class of items that could be found in the key item spots where there isn't a key item, because there are more key item spots than key item. Zyrak, taking a look at the bosses in the Fey March, sees a lunar boss, which turns out to be the D-Lunars alongside Yang. Like, Yang is not a difficult fight if you have Paladin Cecil. If you don't have Paladin Cecil, it can be kind of tough.
Yeah, and in one of these spots with high physical damage, that can be pretty brutal to Paladin Cecil.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then again, unless the players have taken a little time to put some levels on Paladin Cecil, he might not even make it to the second kick.
Now we're getting the Star Veils being used by Zyrak. We're going to see if this strategy is going to pay off.
There it is. Do we get Lunar Frogs?
We get one Lunar Frog.
We have a Lunar Frog.
Yeah, we'll see if that'll be enough.
I'm trying to think. I know if they use the attack command, that'll start the virus script for Lunars, but they cast it on each other, if I recall correctly.
Right. Yeah, but they use wall on both of them simultaneously. Like, it's a bizarre script.
Invenerable saying the back one will virus the front one to death, so...
Ooh, got that second frog.
There it is, Lunar Frogs.
Was able to keep Palom alive long enough to reflect the other one. So well done by Zyrak there. That could have been that was a tough situation.
Now he has the time to exploit their weakness against fire.
Looks like we also just say looks like Nia Gray did check the Octobam spot for a possible demist, and now it looks like heading to the vanilla demist spot, checking once again any chance of there being a magma key.
Is this even randomized?
Wow. This could be huge.
Especially if it's,
If this is important, this could be huge.
And Rydia's mother has...
Oh. Just a Bahamut summon. Unfortunate. I mean, it's a very useful item with Rydia, of course, without a doubt, but it's not going to give Neon Gray the huge advantage race that, either like a Legend Sword, Darkness Crystal, or Magma Key could have been.
Part of Go mode can really make all the difference in an obscure spot like that. So. Zyrak is attack Yang and hit him on the head with a pan.
Yeah, no key item there either. Got a Stardust Rod for his trouble, which is a very useful item for either Pal or Dia.
And Chakasura has made it through and is headed into the underground now. Chakasura will have a couple of more options down here, having a tower key and a pan.
Yeah, Zyrak had the pan, but no tower, so probably just going to do the Sheila route, and then we'll see what Zyrak's choice is going to be after.
And it looks like Chaco's going straight to...
Oh, and the rat tail.
Pan.
And the rat tail, which I believe was given for defeating those lunar dragons.
Oh, interesting. Neon is now confronted with the choice, Paladin Cecil or...
Question in the chat, Get Cooped asking, what is Eagle Eye? Eagle Eye is an item that uses the sight spell. And what is the sight spell? It gets you a better view of the map. It is not very good. I don't recommend buying them.
Zyrak has been rewarded with the Twin Harp for turning in that rat tail.
Oh,
that teases us.
Trolling us. But no, I can't blame him for going to see Sheila. Maybe the next choice will be to go to music afterwards. After all, Zyrak does not have the tower key at this point, so might not go back underground yet at this point in time.
Absolutely. Darkness Crystal at Sheila 1.
That's very interesting.
Caliber for Sheila 2.
Again, Zyrak, having thrown away, sees that Yang down at the bottom, sees an Excalibur now. It's like, why did I do our heals?
And there it is.
Still might make that play instead of going to the... That's interesting.
And I think, an interesting strategy there, having run through the land of summon monsters and through the Sylph Cave, everyone's hit points are low. You get a full heal for fighting the Dark Elf and practically dead already, so...
Yeah, that is... a nice little added perk, but still, this is one of the places where, hey, I'm glad when any of the featured runners decide to make it there. I know a lot of runners try to avoid this because it is a long cave to walk through.
But it is a fan favorite because you want to you want to elaborate on the Cave Magnus and all of its glory?
Sure. So Cave Magnus has a magnetic field in effect, but nobody really cares about that. What we care about is the Easter egg that is probably pretty well known. I bet most of the people in chat know about it, but just in case you don't, that Boardface put in to play a random song instead of Edward's generic harp tune when the twin harp is used in this sequence. So in just a moment, we'll get all quiet in here so that we can enjoy the sounds of DJ Spoony B.
And with a quick kill on Dr. Luge, we have been treated to Final Fantasy VI's battle theme.
I really liked that rendition. That was nice.
It's got what I call the classic Final Fantasy battle music bass to it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Chakasura has gone up tower and is fighting Rubicante in the Dr. Luge spot.
Yep, that's correct. Going to be making use of that as well. Oh, and we see that self-summon in action.
I just heal your party when you could heal your party and damage the enemies at the same time.
So nice. And it doesn't cost any MP. And it gets by wall, and it's just so useful.
Bacante?
Zyrek is making the Tower of Zot play, yeah. Putting those two together with the Cave Magnus followed by Tower of Zot, that makes sense. Like, while you're in the neighborhood.
Blurry picking up some Bacchus wines there, and Tamra. It's a good item I didn't notice earlier.
You got that right, Smapety. I do like myself. And looks like the other boss in the tower is Pale Dim. It's one of those fights that it's like, I'd kind of rather see that somewhere else because it's not usually a very difficult, but you take what you get.
I think the ideal bosses to find in the cannon room there at Tower are, you know, Plague. That's usually or a long fight.
Yeah, but still not Galvez or or the Fabul Gauntlet. You just don't want to see those anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. You hope. What the dream is for Golbez to be at Octomammoth and Fabul Gauntlet to be at D-Mist, and you never have to worry about them.
Yeah, that would be ideal. So now Zyrek making their way through the Tower of Zod. The two bosses here should not be any problem for Zyrek at this point of the game. I mean, when we saw the other runners go through Zod, they were much lower. And so this should be pretty simple.
Neon is taking on Mylon Z, ready to join the hunt in the underground.
Alright, and Choco's second item is just a Gugner Sphere. It does look like the first item was the Luca Key, so we should keep... that does open up the sealed cave. To see if that looks like going to... the Fame Arch for the first time. Hasn't picked up the... or I guess I'm not sure. I don't remember the first time, but hasn't fought the bosses down there. Does not have the Rat Tail yet.
Right. And if I recall correctly, it's packaged in the treasure chest there and Rat Tail at Ashura. So.
Oh, that sounds right. It was Rat Tail at Ashura fight, and it was the package in the chest. Yeah, that's right. At this point, I'd be kind of surprised if anyone on our stream checks the package. I think they're all reasonably happy with the parties that they have right now.
And the sequence for getting the character behind the package is so long and really not worth it if you've got a party that you're satisfied with and you're confident that the Mist Dragon isn't guarding an item that you might need. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was if in the Dwarf Castle they find Edge, they might want to replace Radio Edge or something. Alright, so Choco's had a peek at the bosses. Looks like the save room. Give them a shot. Definitely gonna. I'm pretty sure gonna fight that Yang because he does have Paladin Cecil. So just needs to smack him with Cecil after the second kick to defeat him.
Cross our fingers and hold on for dear life. I do find it interesting. Currently, 3 of the runners have the Darkness Crystal, but nobody has dived the moon. Do you think there might be a little logic behind that?
Well, I think it's always like this balancing act. When do you go to the moon? Because there's that long animation to get from the blue planet to the moon and then back. I think you want to minimize the number of times that you do that. So
absolutely.
You want to clear out everything that you want to clear out on the blue planet before deciding, like, okay, I'm just going to go for. So that's my guess as to what they're thinking, but we'll see. It looks like we do have somebody making a second play at Kainatsu.
Oh.
Ooh, and Choco.
There it is.
Found the Legend Sword. So that was big game, and that's going to be... Because who knows when Zyrak's going to go back for...
Good question. That King up Paladin Cecil is pretty solid move for Chakasura right about now.
And so right now, Chokosura just one item away from Goma. Just needs to find that adamant. Oh, and he doesn't even want to touch those deluders. or wants to heal up first. Okay. Oh no, just nope. Not interested.
Not today. I think if I were running the seed and I'd seen so many of the easy bosses on the blue planet or, trying to get to the underground, I would hesitate to go to the moon just knowing that many of the bosses up there are going to be tough as nails.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's going to be, if you're seeing a lot of the, as we call them, free bosses, as we have early in this seed, then the boss difficulty is going to be so much different up there than it might be on an average league seed, that you just want to get as much experience as possible on the blue planet, even starting to die.
I think all of those plays would be excellent plays. Gambling on the moon. Oh, go ahead.
Zyrak, with just one character left alive, got Kainatsu to hide in the shell, but now gathering the weather again. Almost got there. That was really close. I'm gonna try again.
And Flurry is and Chokosur as well. It looks like they're diving sealed cave to see what awaits them at the bottom here.
Yeah, the sealed cave. Cookie. Yeah, this is going to be a play like keeping an eye on Chokosur's stream, especially because any place could be go mode.
Ah, Murasame.
Now the question is, does he want the experience from this fight? Walking out, looks like he wants to. He might also be thinking he hasn't edge yet. He might be doing Dwarf Castle. He might be doing. He's got to definitely check the moon. Oh, does not want to bother fighting behind it.
I think that was a peek for maybe just checking to see if the Mist Dragon was hiding back there.
Very good point. We know that Neon Gray has found the Mist Dragon, but nobody else. So yeah, very good, Jordan.
Neon, they are making an interesting play right now, picking up on some of those trap chests in Lower Babel. Some of those trap chests could have some really powerful gear, an Excalibur, a Crystal Sword, something that could turn their Paladin Cecil into a killing machine, essentially.
Yeah, other items like Stardust, White Staffs, and things like that would be great too. Power, gauntlets. There's lots of really good gear that you.
Adamant armor is even in that pool, so.
Looks like Choco finding Valvolus one of the difficult bosses, depending on the time, but potentially one of the most difficult bosses here in the Dwarf Castle as the first boss. Now we know that the second boss is going to be Ant,
right.
But I think at the levels that Choco's at, this shouldn't be too difficult, especially considering Kane isn't.
Yeah, Dragoon really changes the tempo there.
Bring on the sylphs. And so Zyrak now making his way to the top of the tower, high-fiving Neon Gray up there at that Rubicante spot. And yeah, Choco takes care of Valvolus without too much of a problem.
It's always so disheartening to dismiss Kane, and then 2 bosses later, there's Val.
What are you doing dismissing Kane? It's great.
Also true. Also true. And there's the Golbez Antlion.
And Choco's deciding to keep Fusia. Still has Riddy in the party too. I gotta say, I'm very happy. It lets me see him spam Silver Prophet. And as it's been made very clear, I love the Sylphs.
The Sylvan philosophy, why heal your party when you can heal your party and damage your enemies at the same time? I could get behind that.
It's great. All right, so Choco's going to see another key that we haven't gotten a chance to see yet. Meanwhile, Flurry is taking on that Yang fight. Has the Paladin Cecil, so once again just needs to.
Ooh. 1,500 opening there on Rosa is just wow. Two kicks and an ouch.
I meant to watch, but I was watching the Yang fight. I missed what Choco.
Yeah, I missed it too. Maybe chat could help us out if anybody happened to catch that.
Sand Ruby thinks, okay. Which I believe you said was Kate.
Yes, it's
so our duplicate character.
There it is. It's time to play for the moon, I think, for Chokosura.
Well, I think he's done everything except fight and D-Lunars. You know, D-Lunars just leads to the rat tail, which didn't get us, which led to the twin harp, which led to really nothing. So... But it could still be that K-Not, so...
Also true.
That's going to linger. We know it's lingering in Zyrek after going back there and still not being... So...
The Fusoya pickup at... and it looks like he's already at full power with 1900 hit points, so...
Yeah, fully powered Fusoya is always a nice thing to have. Ooh, it looks like he wants to... I don't know if he wants to pick up some shopping or... Oh, I might want to check to see who the character is if he didn't check that in Kaipo yet. Or picking up some sirens. Those are always good.
Quintessential necessity for diving the moon. But a question in chat asking about the F flag. Yes, the F flag is on. That is the Fusoya challenge, meaning for Fusoya will be full powered with all of his spells. The runners will have to defeat a certain number of bosses, and after every boss fight, he recalls a random collection of spells until eventually he's at full power. So,
and Chokosura has fought a lot of bosses.
Definitely.
Looks like he's going to check for volume and cape first. We have one lunar frog over on Flurry's screen.
That can be a situation with... There it goes. The virus script, so...
It looks like once Choco wants to grind a few of these King Ryu before fighting any of the bosses here. Probably get Rosa and Rydia a little bit more HP buffering, a little bit more of an HP, like a livable level.
I think that's absolutely a great play. Having Fusoya, having Weak, to really take on the Gold Dragon so much faster.
And a Dragon Whip with Rydia, that's also gonna help take him down pretty quickly.
If I'm reading the numbers correctly, that means Chokosura has found pretty close to 10 key items.
Yeah, Choco definitely has the 10 key items. Like, I don't think he'd be doing this play. Like, I'm guessing that's why he wanted to find that Sand Ruby at Dwarf before going to is wanted to make sure he had that double XP before going. At least that's my thought.
Oh yeah.
Zyrek is finally making the play to our deals.
that means he will have no trouble getting through the Mega Sisters here.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be too tough.
Where he's taking another stab at the lunar dragons, so
yeah, see if yep, got the looks like he's got double breath this time.
There it is. Lunar frogs.
Those dragons are pretty much powerless now.
And with the randomizer, it's so interesting to see lots of innovative strategies employed. These, you know, interesting spots like that. I had no idea that in the vanilla game that you could turn the lunar dragons into frogs just by using wall or something, you know?
Yeah, that's a and strategies like all to force it to attack itself, like just crazy things that just because you're giving different options that you normally would have in the regular game just make it really interesting. And I think that's one of the most fun things about this randomizer.
Ooh, was that Bacon at Behemoth?
It certainly is.
This is actually a pretty challenging spot to fight Baigen in my experience. Those levels a little bit more.
Yeah, but you forget Chokosura has the almighty Sylph.
That's true. That's true. Bypasses wall and everything.
But you're right. This has reasonably high speed, high physical attack. This is not a trivial fight at all.
Larry has picked up the rat tail. See if they get led down the path here. That, of course, we know it to be a dead end, but is Neon diving down to face Kenatsu? I believe they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this another shot. There's my Sylphs.
Now the doesn't have a terrible amount of hit points, so you know, taking out Baigen's arms is pretty good play, so that they can keep Blink active and prevent those hits that just he hits like a truck there.
And what do you know? After finding all that stuff, Zyrak went and ripped Cecil.
Of a paladin.
Neon got the lit, but it was a little too late. So that did take out Palom and Rosa. The other three characters, I believe, are all berserk right now.
Ooh.
Oh no, it has one with a. It seems it has able to use a knife, but ooh, that's gonna be tough. And now, once again, some Final Fantasy VI battle music.
Here we go.
On Flurry screen.
Always got to respect the music.
Yeah, and interestingly, Chocotail went to the Hummingway shop, finds Thor Rages for sale, and takes it back to the Blue Planet. I think is going to get the Adamant Armor, try that Kainatsu fight again, is my guess.
Ooh, excellent, excellent plan.
In the meantime, Zyrak is going down the depths of the lunar subterranean and is going to check out the other boss spots there. And Neon, it just continues to get bodied by that Kainatsu.
They've gotten really close. Did really well swapping up Sid in the middle there.
Yeah, Getku asking got scared and still got the wave off. And that does happen sometimes. Kainatsu is like in the action queue for that wave already. By the time that lit hits, it's still going to do the wave, even though to say the lit scared him. It's a bit confusing. It's a bit annoying because you get that sense of relief. I got my lit off. Oh no, here comes a wave and my character is still dead.
Dirac diving straight down to the D-lunar spot, finding Mom Bomb.
Yeah, this is gonna hit hard. The Chokosura's got more levels, did some grinding on them, has an adamant armor, and a big stock of Thor Rages. So I think might be the most prepared of all the runners for this fight. Flurry is there again too. Everybody other than Zyrak is focused on this Kainatsu fight right now.
Feeling if I skip a spot, it's the item I needed.
And that full powered Fu giving a nuke in there to reduce the HP of Kainatsu, making that wave a lot scary as well.
Oh yeah, significantly cutting down that damage.
And here come the Sylphs!
Replenishing that damage with the Sylph attack.
Not even using those Thor Rages, it doesn't seem.
Once nuke is an option, Kainatsu be warned. And Zyrek has made it through Mom Bomb's first phase.
Get Cooped asking where Fu was. Fu was in the Dwarf Castle.
Oh, that's cold. Kinatsu with the magma key.
Meanwhile, Zyrak has finished the bomb fight. Gets access to two. Finds
Spoon and Excalibur.
And another Excalibur.
Does have the spoon flag, so if anyone feels brave about or going to pick Edward back up, we also have the rescue flag, so that's possible. If anybody wants to go back and give the Spoony Bard his spoon, that is a possibility.
He is very strong, but he also does not have a lot of hit points. Yeah, so this wasn't a hook seed. Yeah. All you had to do is beat Kainazo.
Speaking.
Zyrek finding the CPU in the plague spot. This is a and using a berserk strategy, which, I mean, I guess it does more damage, but I think that's sometimes a risky strategy for this fight.
And it looks like he'll only have to dish out about 23,000 to the CPU proper. Kind of a gamble. Once CPU begins using the Globe 199s, it could hit anybody.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be hoping that it doesn't.
Oh, Kane. A Berserk Cecil and a Berserk Sid still popping up lots of damage there. Ability Zyrek might be thinking is, exploit the fact that experience for each time he kills the attacker and the defender.
That is true. It is more experience that you can get for that. I'm glad to see both Neon and Flurry have, at least for now, given up on that K-Nots.
Yeah, the Kainatsu at Odin is it's just not one of those fights that anybody wants to have to do. Fortunately, we know it's not required, but
Zyrek
required.
Zyrek finding a Leviathan summon at the plague spot. Very inferior summon compared to Sylph, but asking what was that, Luca? It was a Mirasame. And yes, no grow mode yet, Penguinator. You got that right.
This is a far cry from an Appleseed.
Absolutely. Zyrek going down to the lunar core for the deepest key item location, the Ogopogo spot.
It looks like an alternative. Well, yeah, we don't know their shape until the inside of the fight. So,
Ooh, we've got. Zyrek does not want to fight the goblin. Wants to check the other key item spots before going back to that. Bluebear, no, neither of the key items. Oh no, one of them was. This Yang fight is the Legend Sword, isn't it?
Yes, Ying spot is Legend Sword, Asura spot is Rat Tail.
Yeah. So Neon's going to get their first half of the crystal.
Sure, they're glad to see that after fighting. Ooh, is that a vanilla wyvern?
That is a vanilla wyvern.
And in this flag set, Wyvern's opening Mega Nuke is active, so Wyvern will greet all of our runners with...
No Wyvern flag, no Witchburn flag. You get a Wyvern, you get a Wyvern. So it looks like Zyrak gonna favor the Pale Dim Spot instead, which we haven't seen yet. Choco fighting these bosses, gonna fight that CPU in the Vanilla Plague spot.
Shaping up to be pretty close to a 17 out of 17, though.
Yeah, we've seen pretty much everything. So the Pale Dim Spot, the Wyvern spot, and that Pogo Pogo where we know the Gauntlet. We haven't seen what key items are in those places. Ooh, Plague in the Pale Dim Spot.
On the one hand, it's not as bad as it could be. A kamikaze life potion strategy, that's a good call.
Yeah, kamikaze, having a couple of kamikaze can be very convenient for the flag fight. That is, without a doubt, true. Because the plague will always reset the count if there's a character who does not have the count on them.
As demonstrated right there.
And so then it becomes a cycle of continually killing the character at low HP, reviving them, having plague reset it. And so the downside is you don't get like your offensive force out because you've got a character that's dead, one character that's going to be killing that character over and over, one character reviving that character, but it'll get the job done.
A war of attrition. Looks like Chokosura is taking a similar strategy to Zyrak to get through the CPU, just...
Yeah, just eating those Globe 199s. You know, if it gets the job done, Zyrak able to get down that plague.
Yon dealing with one lunar frog as well seems to be a theme tonight.
Just a white spear for Zyrak there. Flurry going back at it, but now he does have that food.
So yeah, with Nuke is...
That Palin lived with 1 HP off of that wave. Holy moly. And so Zyrak going back to a previous save. Now this is a very smart thing to do, making a save. I believe he made one before this fight and one before the Wyvern fight, so that if this doesn't turn out to be what it is, could just reset and get together.
Absolutely.
Very heads-up play by Zyrak here. We have Choco and Zyrak in the same fight now. So this is going to be really interesting. This is the one that whoever's strategy to get through this fight the fastest, works the best, might be the difference in which of our featured runners finishes first.
If I'm reading the tracker correctly, it looks like Zyrak never went back and finished the Young fight in the Feymart.
Oh, that's a good point. So then Yeah, because Zyrek wasn't able to do that the first time, and after rescuing Cecil, didn't go back down. That is correct. So that's a good point. So Zyrek does have some work to do still.
To be fair, if Zyrek full clears the moon, has a look at every spot here, you know, he'll know it's not so.
Right. Yeah, Zyrek might be hung up on that King at this point. And Zyrek may still fight that that wyvern spot, whether
That's
or
true.
not this is the adamant here. Flurry got Kenatsu to hide in the shell. That's always a good sign.
It's a quick finish up usually.
As long as you can do enough before. Nice use of the Ice 3 with ice weakness that Kenatsu has. Finishes him off. Gonna get that magma key. Gonna be upset. Such as this seed.
I dare say that Smapedy has rolled what some might refer to as a Scalikitty classic. Chokosura have what? This and one more fight with the Fabul Gauntlet.
Yep, and Zyrek, I believe, is just.
Neon successfully got the 2 lunar frogs there.
Well done there by Neon. Ooh, get the pass for Chokosura, and Zyrek will be one fight behind with it. So I believe, by process of elimination, I think that Wyvern has to hold the adamant.
That is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's not one that Zyrek's going to want to reset. They're not going to want to walk down this Lunar Subterranean to get what happened.
Right?
But the thing is, Zyrek knows what he's up against. Choco has not seen this yet.
Be a good morning. Good hello for Chokosura.
Yeah, absolutely. Ground Flyer asking if anyone's found Miss yet. The is Neon Gray, who found it in the vanilla spot, and it led to a Bahamut summon. Ooh, there we go. That's interesting. I believe that was the help from the Adamant arm that Choco was able to procure, made it so that the opening salvo of Mega Nuke was survivable. So at this point, I think Choco shouldn't have too much of defeating this, but it's still going to be touch and go for Zyrek. Did have Rosa survive, might be able to rebuild from here.
It takes Wyvern just a moment to get set up with his wall and then his nuke spam.
Going for the Bacchus wants to start getting the damage in before reviving up all the rest of the party. So. I could see an argument either way. So.
It's, you know, I see a wyvern. I want it dead as soon as possible.
Yeah, the only downside is if that hits Cecil, then you've just wasted more time. But it didn't, so I think Zyrek should be able to recover and get this fight in the end.
And another potential downside to that is, you know, if the nukes hit your characters that aren't berserked, then your berserked character is helpless unless Wyvern runs out of health. So
yeah, I think you'd probably only want to have one berserked character if you wanted to try this. But I mean, that's in a lot of fights. That's the risk of berserking lots of characters.
Chokosura is in go mode.
Good job to Chokosura, the first one of our featured runners to be in go mode. Gonna go and forge that crystal now. While we're doing so, just want to give some shout outs. First of all, make sure you give all 4 of our featured runners tonight on Gray, Flurry 14, Zyrek, and Chokosura a follow for letting us watch their race tonight. It's always great to see great runners like this. Give a shout out to Smape D on the restream tonight, and Tarasu for the tracking job. Make sure you give these hardworking folks a follow as well. And I also want to give a shout out and thank you to the Random Media Network for letting us have our Monday night race be on their channel.
Absolutely. Zyrek has made it to the end of Wyvern's first cycle. He's done with that when he uses Remedy on himself, and he's getting ready to wall up again. And
Ooh, ribbons for sale.
ooh, that's not a bad find at all.
That Cokel shop sometimes has really good items. Good magic defense for that Zeramis fight. So Choco picking up as many as he could afford there. Zyrak getting his adamant button. As we said, still needs to find that legend sword, and Zyrak might be thinking that came out, so still, we'll see.
Ooh, also true. And Chokosura has made his way over to Roya. Can't gear check, and
yeah, and he's ready to go. So,
you want to ask or should I?
Go for it, Jory.
We gonna kick today.
Yes, it is but time.
Another, for anyone who's wondering about that question, another Easter egg that's included Randomizer is wonderfully done and designed sprites for Zeramis, and it's gonna be, so we have to always ask the question, whose butt are we gonna kick today?
I think with all the lunar bosses, a little bit of grinding that has done, should be in very good shape for the Zeramis fight.
Absolutely. Genovamus. Wonderfully done. Wonderfully done.
And Shoko using what's a common thing is to use that silk web right away in the fight to get a double slow on Zeramus. Also makes a counter nuke, which is going to make the first Big Bang be considerably weaker than it could be. So it's a very common move. Slows it, makes Big Bang weaker. Pretty good all around.
And it looks like Choco may be using a little bit of to quickly tear through Genovamus's hit points.
Yeah, I think when you've got 3 casters like this, and 2 really good physical fighters like this, I think a hybrid strategy is a pretty smart way to go.
Absolutely.
And the downside of a little bit of healing from those reflected Cure 4s isn't really that big of a... considering how much damage those reflected nukes and lit 3s and whites will do.
Absolutely. Zyrek has picked up his adamant armor. Still hunting for the legend sword.
Yeah, this fight seems to be going very well for Chokusura. It's a big damage roll from his characters.
Big damage. It looks like, you know, Z's speed is under control.
And Zyrek did head right back to Keinatsu.
Yes. Zyrek will be well rewarded with a magma key there.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, got a nice little roll for the damage on Rydia on the second Big Bang there.
Wow.
So Rydia's going to survive. Now just needs to get another wall up and then can get back to the threat. Ooh, might not even need to do that as...
Rocks are falling.
And there we go. The flash has happened. Chokusura finishes in first place in today's race with a time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 22 seconds. So GG's for Chokusura, and we'll try to get him in for an interview.
GG's for certain. First on stream, first in SRL.
Okay, and I think we will be getting Chokosura. Might need to set up some audio stuff, so I'll keep an eye out for him. Meanwhile, looks like Zyrek did get that magma key. And if maybe if we could get the sound over to Neon Gray so we hear that lovely Final Fantasy VI battle music one more time, that would be. And we do have Chokosura in here. Chokosura, GG.
Thank you.
How do you feel about this race tonight?
Typical Forge seed, I thought. I figured once I found Legend, Adamant was going to be in some obscure place, and I was going to have to pretty much look everywhere for it.
And you did look just about everywhere, didn't you?
Yeah, I was looking at my timer about hour and a half mark, and I didn't see a dot done. I was thinking to myself, is there a rude boss guarding it, or is there a demist in Giant or something? But luckily I didn't leave the moon to check, because I was thinking about it.
What did you feel about that Kainatsu in the Odin spot?
Well, I kind of, I was thinking that he may have had the adamant, but I don't know. As soon as I saw him the first time, I knew I couldn't do anything with him, so I decided to come back later.
I was just asking because it seemed like a lot of at least the featured runners tonight, really got hung up on trying to defeat that boss early. So,
oh wow,
the magma key, it was like that might have been, and I don't know how many of the other races, 4 of them, if other people got hung up on that as well, because it seemed like you took a pretty good, like, just didn't deal with it until you got that adamant fully powered Fusia, and it's like now I can just blast through it.
Yeah, I wanted to check that spot before I fully committed to the moon. So, and I just realized I forgot about the Asura spot too, but luckily it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's actually.
So, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to say it was probably pretty fortunate you didn't revisit the Asura spot. That was a dead end, a long dead end.
And Legend, since Legend was next to it, I was pretty sure that the adamant couldn't be at that spot. I think I've had one seed where the adamant and Legend were right next to each other in those 2 spots, but I wasn't counting on that tonight.
The odds were against it, right?
Yeah, very low odds for that.
So are you going to be playing in the qualifiers Forge this weekend?
I will indeed.
All right, what do you think about the Forge percent?
Forge is one of my favorite categories. I've done a lot of practice seeds for it, and I feel ready for it. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you good luck. Once again, say GG's. It was Great run tonight. Thank you for letting us watch your race. And did you have any final thoughts?
No, not really. Although I'm kind of glad I saw Wyvern at his vanilla location and not anywhere else. Because like I said earlier, I was thinking maybe Adamant was being guarded by Wyvern at a root spot or something. So I'm glad it wasn't.
And a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful time.
All right, thank you. You guys take care.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and Zyrak has entered the...
Direct getting ready to meet Genovimus.
Yeah, well, while Neon once again tried that Kinatsu fight.
This time they are much more prepared, though.
Yes. That fully powered Fusia helps a lot.
And already Kanatsu is hiding in the shell, so...
Yeah, they'll be rewarded with that really key magma key very soon. But it's like, looks like Neon was doing that plan to avoid doing anything until on the moon until they absolutely have to.
And I believe that's pretty close to all of the spots on Earth, so...
Yeah, I think that was the last place that Neon had left.
And now they will join Flurry on the moon to dive these boss spots. Wow, Zyrak having that nerfed Big Bang, dealing 300 points of damage to Palom there.
Yeah, good magic defense combined with a nerfed Big Bang makes life a lot easier.
Interesting what an adamant armor and a ribbon can do.
And it's interesting because we're seeing a different way of handling it. We're still seeing hybrid strats here, but instead of Rosa Cure 4ing after the first Big Bang, it was so little damage was done that just had Sid throw some cure potions, and Rosa was just wailing with the white spell. Now,
Absolutely.
Because of that, didn't have any resources to nerf that second Big Bang, but it looked like Zyrak was waiting on that cure for, knew that it was full powered Big Bang, and just decided to take that, let the fighters do a lot of damage with their berserk status, and that works as well.
It's never a bad plan to let Zerker Zerk.
Yeah, berserk strategy is probably the most common strategy for a good reason. They're very efficient at dishing out damage. And this is one of the, I think, big uses for Sid in the Zeramus fight is to have him be a chemist and just be ready to use items. So here we've got some extra space after that Big Bang through a moon veil, and now Rosa doesn't have to spend a turn healing, can just immediately do white, which is going to do a lot more damage.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, a nuke spell hit Cecil for lethal, and that's going to be rough, but I don't think this is
that was a very high roll for the nuke spell too. I wonder if some kind of like a black belt or something to boost his attack rather than defense.
Yeah, that's I think that would be pretty likely. A lot of times, especially on your characters that you're playing Berserk, you don't usually consider their defense as much as their offense.
And 3,000 health is generally safe from big bangs. I think the upper ends of the rolls end up being around 2,700, so...
I think that would be a very high roll.
Yes.
Looks like at this point he doesn't want to chance it, going purely defensive, using that Cure 4.
Right.
But got both of his frontline fighters on the offense again.
Berserk Paladin with an Excalibur is not to be trifled with.
Ooh, and we've got a Meteo phase, so we are on the precipice.
Always nice to have falling rocks get a sigh of relief.
And there we go. That's the Flash. GG's to
Iraq.
Finished in second place overall with a time of 2 hours and 42 seconds. Wow, second place, 2 hours. Well, let's see if Zyrek wants to come in for an interview. And just behind him, Ike here has finished in third place with a time of 2 minutes, or 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 2 seconds. The 2:02:02 finish. And I believe we have Zyrak. Zyrak, GG's tonight.
GG Zyrak.
Thanks, guys.
So how do you feel about tonight's?
I mean, honestly, the only thing I'm really upset about it, well, not upset, but is Kinatsu, really. Aside...
We're not surprised here.
Yeah. Aside from that, it was all fine. But, I mean, a little trolly with the Wyvern spot, and I didn't survive it the way I thought I would, but, you know, happened.
Well, there was a couple interesting things I thought we were seeing. First of all, we kind of figured that Kinatsu was trolling. But the other thing was, you were the only one of the featured runners who decided to go down the hook route before completing Mount Ordeals. So when you saw Cecil down there, he was still a Dark Knight, and you just ditched him. And then you go down to the Fey March, and you see right immediately after that, you see Yang down there, and you're like, I can imagine you think, like, if only I had Paladin Cecil right now. And then you got an Excalibur pretty soon after that as well. So it's like, when you decided to rescue him, I'm like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. I was very close to not rescuing him. I mostly did it because I did not have a great way of dealing Zeromus damage, and like Excalibur Cecil pretty much solves that problem for me on its own, so you know, still didn't have either part of the crystal yet, so even though people were obviously getting trolled somewhere, there was still a decent chance that half of it was just sitting on ordeals, so, you know, just went ahead and did it.
I think the majority of the trolling happened at Kinatsu and in that Odin spot there. He was brutal to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I tried not to get too bent out of shape about it, because I figured it was probably happening to a lot of other people. I really liked how I made my anchor slower and he got faster somehow. That was good. Yeah, but yeah, I just kind of figured. I kind of figured that he was the thing that was stonewalling everybody until I got on the moon, and I was like, okay, Gauntlet and Ogopogo nobody's gonna want to do, Vanilla Wyvern that nobody's gonna want to do. Like there's a lot up here that could potentially be, and like I never even found Golbez. Don't know if he was around somewhere to potentially lock people either. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we saw Golbez either. So
That's interesting. I wonder where Golbez was. He might not have been in the sea.
Possibly not. Could have been in the Giant. Could have been the one boss with a vacation. I was dumb and didn't check the Luca boss when I dove that, so I don't know if anybody else did. He could have been there.
we saw somebody take a look there, and D-Mist was in the vanilla location. We can see that.
Oh, hey, there you go. Good thing that was nothing.
Yeah, it was a Bahamut summon, so if you checked it earlier, there's some power. So.
I mean, I guess one of the things that I did do early that I think I do it differently from a lot of people is that if I get an exit source, I like to check the watery pass to see if I can come up with any equipment that my opponent's getting. I pulled the Dragon Whip and a Rune Axe out of there. The Rune Axe especially was helpful. I did wind up finding a couple more of them as the seed went on, but it gave me a really big advantage for a couple of the early bosses just to have City get that extra damage. And a couple of them, like the Elements Rubicant, are actually weak to the Rune Axe as well, so that was nice.
Yeah, you handled that Elements fight. So you had the big bomb and the Rune Axe, just basically two-shot him very, very well. Did you have? Are you planning on playing in the qualifiers for this flag set this weekend?
I'm thinking about it. I'm still a little bit on the fence. I've been enjoying helping out with the commentary and the tracking stuff for the tournament as well. But there's a decent chance I'll participate in at least a couple of them. Yeah.
What do you think about the League Forge percent overall?
It's a really interesting flag set. The fact that it's T3 and not T4 is really interesting because I'm one of the people who believes that first and foremost that Free Enterprise is a game of resource management, and this is a flag set where you're not going to necessarily get an infinite amount of resources thrown at you, but you potentially have a lot of game to clear. So that's really, really interesting to me, and that's what I like about this flag set in particular.
Well, did you have any final thoughts tonight?
No. That was a tough one. I mean, I guess that's kind of a nice change of pace from the 30-minute jets we've been getting from the last couple of weeks here. But so there's a flat 2-hour one for everybody. So Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to you guys for the commentary, Tira for the tracking, for the restream. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, and thank you for letting us and GTs again.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime. Cheers.
All right. Once again, that was Zyrak, our second place finisher tonight. We had during that interview there were a number of other finishers. Let me catch you on them. In fourth place, we have Supremacy, finishing at 2 hours, 3 minutes, 22 seconds. In fifth place, we have Mr. Ubik, 2 hours, 4 minutes, 8 seconds. Sixth place, we have JDP. And seventh,
And in seventh place, Peasants, OMFG, at a time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 57 seconds. So it looks like the in. And meanwhile, Flurry is forging the crystal. So Flurry is looking to join those who have put their .duns in the SRL chat. So
yeah, so we wish Flurry good luck in this final battle.
like Flurry would like to pick up a before heading on to the Z fight.
And Neon Gray is still fighting those moon boss battles. Gonna be looking for that adamant in the wyvern spot.
Flurry actually has done a 17 out of 17 for Neon. May be on the same path to that, so
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. It looks like Flurry is not happy with his levels right now. Gonna do a few more eggs here. Maybe he wants a little bit more HP insurance on Palom. Maybe he wants to try to get, if Palom hasn't learned Nuke yet. That might be another thing.
I'm looking. Palom had Meteo, so it will only take a level or two. There's White on Rosa, so Reflect strats are definitely in the cards here.
Probably hybrid strats like we saw Choco and Zyrek do. Having Kane and Cecil in the party generally lend it to hybrid strats.
There it is. One has cleared Mom Bomb.
Gonna pick up that spoon.
And the extra Excalibur.
Yeah, sadly no edge to make use of that extra Excalibur and spoon.
It always seems in these seeds that you never find an edge.
Yeah.
There were so many things that Edge could have thrown.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you do have edge, you're lucky to get middle sword.
It's like I think equipping Edge with the Assassin Dagger might be a little more effective.
And thanks for the raid, Justin MDP. As we have Flurry now ready, got that those spells that he needed, heading up, using the pass, gonna be fighting the good fight. And all things considered, I don't think Neon too far behind. Probably a couple boss fights.
They're going to nope out of the CPU there. Realign their strategy.
See if they decide to take that same route or same strategy that we saw. Just blast with AoE and just eat those Globe 199s. But it does seem like Neon is playing it. Looks like going to be trying to.
They're trying to use the float.
Yeah, going to
strategy.
be trying the float strategy. This is all going to depend on who this float gets reflected to. And it hit the CPU. That's not the way you wanted to see it go. basically has a 50-50 shot. If the float hits that mazer in the, then the mazer will be immune to Quake for the rest of the battle, but the CPU won't. And Quake bypasses wall, so the CPU's defensive wall won't protect it, and Palom can do a lot of damage with Quake. This is why Neon should have had Rydia and could be using Sylphs here.
I think they're gonna stick with it and just hammer out the 23,000 in damage.
Oh, you don't think that's it wouldn't be faster to go down, rescue Rydia, get Sylph, and then come back?
It would be an interesting play, a fan service, almost like the like going to Twin Harp. So
something like that. We do have Dr. Cossack placed in the time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 13 seconds. So GG's to Dr. C.
And it looks like Flurry's Z battle is going very well. No real hiccups.
Yeah, definitely getting these hybrid strats in. And that Stardust Rod Palom does a lot of damage with Nuke.
That was always the hope in when I was practicing Appleseed, just find a Stardust Rod for Fu somewhere to get that nuke powered up. But
yeah, it really does a lot more when you've got that Stardust Rod. When I was running the game casually as a kid, I had stat buffs. And now I think they're maybe the most important part about the equipment.
Right.
Playing Free Enterprise lets you know a lot more about the game. That is for sure.
It really helps that, you know, so many of the users on the Discord have just been so open about sharing their, you know, their meta knowledge and their strategies, and super welcoming to new players. So if you're watching today or tonight and you're thinking, wow, this looks kind of cool, I think I could do this, I absolutely recommend joining the Discord. Tons of great people over there. It's just a wholesome community.
Yeah, it's definitely the sort of environment where everybody wants to do better. Like the rising tide lifts all boats, right?
That's a great analogy, except I think I might have missed the boat. So
Neon Gray able to win that fight against the CPU. Now we'll probably go see that fight in the Ogopogo spot for which will give the pass. Have to go through the Fabul Gauntlet. We'll see there. And yep, that is indeed where they're headed.
Yeah, Zyrek pointing out in chat that agility agnostic, the AA flag, is not part of the forged percent flags, meaning that if you find Cecil will be your agility anchor.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Ooh, we have rocks falling, but that is one of the things, because when the League was in, the agility agnostic flag hadn't been devised yet, so it was not a part of that. And this is trying to mirror that as close as possible. That's why that's off. Ooh, and there's the flashes. And Flurry 14 finished in overall 9th place with a time of 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 13 seconds. We'll see if Flurry wants to come in for an interview.
That was a snipe on Boydrak, finishing in 10th with 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 15 seconds. So GG's to both of them.
All right, let's see if we can get Flurry here. I think we'll get him. And looks like we are joined by GG's Flurry.
Yeah, GG's.
GG, congratulations.
That was kind of slog. Full clear, boys. Yeah, there we go. I was surprised the times were as high as they were. I was expecting to finish a lot worse, so I'm actually pretty happy with the full clear coming in ninth. Not too bad.
So, what do you think about this seed overall?
Well, I'm starting to get the feeling that when it comes to these Forge seeds, I should probably just play one moon, one earth, and go with that. That's kind of how it's worked out in a lot of the seeds I've done, and I had the feeling as soon as I beat Yang and got the Legend Sword, I kind of knew that I was pretty much behind because I dedicated to clearing the overworld before hitting the hook. And usually I know that's not a terribly good play, but considering I still needed 2 items, I figured there's a better chance for me to get something on the overworld, even if it's not the magma key. You know, there's 3 key items that I can use. That'd be great. But I imagine a lot of people didn't do that, and anybody who like skipped ordeals and then didn't get Cecil and might have had a little bit of a problem with Leviathan Yang. So I was like, okay, not in a terrible spot, but and I thought I should probably just go to the moon now, and I didn't. And then at the moon, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm already way behind. I always start at the bottom and work my up. Well, I'll just start at the top and work my way down. Bummer. But that's just the way it goes. There were a couple juicy fights in there. Kenazo at Odin was not enjoyable. Vanilla Wyvern was pretty fun. Ogo Gauntlet-O was not what I wanted to see when I'm sitting on 17 out of 17. But, yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just a slog.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that Kenazo at the Odin one that definitely a lot of the runners that we had to try multiple tries. That's without a doubt.
Yeah, I thought I could get it low enough initially to where Rosa would survive. Then I'm thinking, after the second try, I'm thinking, wait, I've got 11 key items. Dwarf Castle is going to give me 50k. Just do that and come back, it'll be fine. Ended up getting Fu, which made it easier, so.
Yeah, it also gave you a Fusi.
A little disappointed that I don't seem to have terribly good luck with the Hob spell. It was Sylph today.
Oh, you're not going to go knocking on myself.
Well, Sylph has its uses. Unfortunately, the hook boss is not one of them. So that's why I kind of got rid of her. Well, yeah, like it wasn't... I'm trying to think if there were any other really silly boss fights. I was a little worried seeing a lot of freebies early.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Or go ahead.
That was another thing that I thought might throw some people for a loop, or maybe people wouldn't want to try to dive them early, seeing all those free bosses like the Dark Imps, like the Baron Guards, like the King Queen Evelyn fight, like the Water Hag, all found relatively early.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, I know my girl Val and my dog Golbez are going to be sitting waiting for me on the moon, aren't they? And Val was in a perfectly reasonable spot. Golbez, I'm guessing, was in one of the two boss spots, or Kaipo, or even better, not in the game. So yeah, like the boss fights weren't too bad.
Okay, but I just gotta say, you're officially on my list now. How you're talking bad about my sylphs, so that's all.
I mean, the sylphs are okay. I like them better when they're giving me key items than when they're doing 1 damage on enemies that I'd really like them to do more. But it's all good.
Are you going to be playing in the
Oh yes, I should be making all 4 this time. Hockey game on Sunday isn't until late, so yeah, I plan on making all 4. We'll see what happens. V1 is not a strong suit of mine due to my own shortcomings, but it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
All right, did you have any final thoughts tonight?
No. Just appreciate you guys sticking around. This, looking at the times, this was definitely not the kind of commentary you get from a giant or apple seed. Yeah, you basically pulled about 6 apple seeds worth today, so appreciate it. Appreciate Smapey doing the restream. I forgot who's tracking today, but whoever that is.
We have Tarasu doing tracking tonight.
Props on that too. And anybody who stuck around the stream to watch the whole thing, awesome. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right, GG, Flurry.
All right, GG. See you later.
All right, and while Flurry, while we were doing that interview with Flurry, 4 finishes. Shamstron has finished in 11th place at 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 26 seconds. Crimson Avix in 12th place at 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 7 seconds. And then we're all up to date.
Neon has found their adamant by defeating Vanilla Wyvern and is on their way to forge the crystal.
All right. So once again, I want to give a shout out to all 4: Neon Gray, Flurry 14, Zyrek, and Shokosura. Please give all 4 of these great runners a follow for allowing us to watch their races tonight. Give a big shout outs to the people behind the staff, behind the scenes. I guess that's the right term that I'm looking for. Smapey doing the restreaming, Tarasu doing the tracking. Very hardworking folks. Thank you, and give them a follow for their work as well. And,
Real MVPs.
Yeah. Everybody at the Randomania Network and everybody who helps out in the Discord for just being such a wonderful community, making Free Enterprise just one of the just like most fun places that I've ever been on. And we have Neon rescuing the Spoony Bard. And we're going to have a real Spoony Zeramus fight.
A heavily armed Edward.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a adamant armor. And I think we're going to get an adamant armor on Edward. That's my guess. Yeah, I'm going straight to Eddie. There we are. Adamant Bard. Oh, this is great.
I always think back to vanilla Final Fantasy IV, and of course back then it was Final Fantasy II as I knew it. So,
Oh yeah.
And I never thought Spoony It's when Tella called him a spoony bard. I was like, what does he even mean? Now I knew. Sure.
Yeah, this is the true spooniness.
Neon is the hero we don't deserve. They're the hero we need tonight.
So the question is, how much HP does Edward need in order to finish this fight?
I think with the adamant armor, I didn't notice if they got what kind of ring they had. Maybe a rune ring and a ribbon or something.
Well, I think Eddie is wearing a good old iron ring, but we'll have access to ribbons here in Kokol's shop.
Right.
But I guess it all depends. If Neon feels very confident in their ability to nerf the Big Bangs, then it might not need all that more than this 1,000 HP or so.
Absolutely.
Gonna sell some stuff to get more ribbons here.
Very nice headgear upgrade for anyone.
Keeping the bandana on.
And it looks like in the meantime, Big Dunka finished up 14th place with a time of 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 5 seconds.
It looks like Neandre is heading to Toria, ready for the final confrontation with Xeris.
And they have to be asking themselves right now, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? I think the real final boss here was the 17 out of 17, though.
Oh, on this seat for sure.
I do want to point out it's kind of a silly irony with Neon. The first race I was ever restreamed in, Neon was one of the commentators. First race that I'm ever commentating, Neon is one of the runners. So I like to find those small little tidbits of coolness and how life happens.
I just want to see Edward wreck some face.
Like Spoony Bard gets to open up with the crystal, so...
Well, Eddie is very fast, and even faster with adamant.
I'm actually looking forward to the reject percents, where Edward becomes one of the MVPs of every seed.
Well, what about the Edward percent? Edward is always the MVP.
That's going to be very fun to watch.
Well, looks like a little early on that first. Rosa throw another silk web here. Hopefully this counter nuke does not hit Eddie. All right.
Cecil can take it. Back in chat, thumbs up.
All right, now we've got a berserked bard. And getting the Star Veil up for the hybrid strats, and yeah, Edward dealing more damage than... That's about right.
I find it to be a bit of poetic justice. Right, Edward surviving that nerfed Big Bang. Like, Dragus has finished 15th place with a time of 2 hours 35 minutes and 5 seconds.
I guess Edward can't get a crit every single time.
4,000 damage against Zeromus is not... Nonetheless.
Let's see where this counter nuke lands.
Ah. I think Fusoya can take the heat.
Yeah, he's lived through a lot. As an old mop in this world, he's seen a lot.
You know the situation is dire if Fusoya has converted into Grandpa Mop. Excellent strategy there. Neon's using the crystal again to elicit a counter nuke. The Big Bang.
Ooh.
Oh.
Hits that Spoony Bard. And even with the adamant armor, nuke does a lot of damage. We'll see if they decide to res him, or if they think they can just finish him up, finish off this fight without him.
Bring him back on the field.
Ooh, but we have meteor phase.
At this point, it's just, oh, my goodness, Rosa. Direct nuke attack swag right there.
Yeah, when you're in that media phase, don't. And there we go. Neon Gray finished in 16th place. Time of 2 hours, 38 minutes, and 29 seconds. We'll see if we can get Neon in for a quick interview if they're interested. But it was really fun to see.
Hey, Edward dished out most amount of physical damage in that fight, so definitely worth a rescue spoonward.
It was really close if it wasn't. Looks like I can't confirm if Neon wants to come in for an interview. Wasn't able to reach them in the IRC, so I think I'll give them just a moment, see if they hop in. But not seeing them coming in, so I think we're just going to end up calling it here. This was a great race. I had a lot of fun calling it. Jory, how do you feel? This was your first time doing commentary.
I had a blast. I appreciate y'all welcoming me into the community and getting to the point where I'm not too shy to do commentary in front of the whole world. So I had a great time, and you're an excellent commentator, so I could sit quietly if I had no idea what to say.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to help cut out, do some coughing in the background, so really appreciate that too. Once again, thanks to all of our runners, Flurry, Chokosura, Zyrak, and Neon Gray. Very fun watching you guys race. Smapety doing the restreaming tonight. Tirasu doing the tracking tonight. Everybody at the Randomania Network. And for Jory Sneff, I'm Rex Raoul, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.